welcome back to Dimensional Soul Healing with your host, Gracen. Today we're going to talk about battling with yourself, and especially battling with your ego and your egoical self if you have not gone through lots of ego deaths just yet. All right, let's dive into the episode. So just a couple of days ago, there was the fall equinox, which always indicates a transitional type of vibe in the fall to winter season, right? Like we just exited summer. We are now officially in fall. I think we are, at least. Anyways. And yeah, I feel like coming up very soon, just in my own personal journey, I'm literally about to undergo my next ego death. Like, oh my gosh, it's going to be intense. I already feel it. But yeah, the last time I was doing some energy healing on myself, I got a visual through my third eye it was like my childhood self. I want to say she was like 8 years old, and she just looked like distressed and crying. And basically, I'm getting ready to shed and let go of this egoical version of myself that my family and society expected me to be. And so really it's like a huge transitionary period just for myself alone on an individual level of really stepping into who I am authentically, who I came here to be, to shine as, and to lead as, right? And so anyway, I really want to talk about this like battle with our ego, like our battle with our egoical selves. And I feel like a lot of the times we ignore the natural rhythms and flows of nature around us and the seasons. And really, we are seasonal beings, right? Like we have our periods of summer, like we thrive in the summer, we thrive in the fall. Winter feels like a very reclusive, like going within kind of kind of vibe. And spring is like blossoming, like coming out of like your cocoon and shining your light through the summer season. And then it's like this huge cycle over and over and over. Obviously, we can, participate in those seasons on an individual level, like without connecting directly to the the external season, if that makes sense. So it's like you can totally be shining your light like in the winter time. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be like 100% cocooning, if that makes sense. But it's like just basically listening to our intuition, following the flow of life, following the flow of the seasons, and how can we best adapt and change and ebb and flow to that. And I feel like a lot of people struggle with change, and a lot of people are intimidated by change, and change is scary and unknown. And yeah, listen, I get it. Like I totally get it. I've been doing energy healing sessions for several years now. And I've just learned so much by working with hundreds of people. And now I'm in this transitionary period of teaching seminars, doing workshops, like holding conferences, right? Like growing on a massive scale. And my change on my individual level is like, more people are going to see me, and there's going to be more of that polarization of like a disagreement and agreement, right? It's like, in order for me to fulfill my purpose, right, like I have to be seen. I have to reach a massive group of people, right? And it's like my egoical self, the one I'm getting ready to shed, just wants to play small and wants to play safe, right? She's like, no, like, don't be seen. You're going to get judged. People are going to disagree with you, yada, 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 right? And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm aware. But what I do teach about and what I do speak on is from my own soul experience, right? It's like, that's about as real as it gets. When you experience something on a soul level, like you have out-of-body experiences, you consciously astral travel, right? Like you have all of your own subjective experiences, and you know that you need to trust yourself. You know that what you're seeing is actually valid. You know that what you're experiencing is real, right? And then you come back into your physical body to share with the world what you went through, right? And of course, like you're going to have people that get triggered. You're going to trigger people's programmings and conditionings. And let me tell you something. One of the things I have seen in my energy healing sessions is I was working on this older client of mine, and she's about like in her early 60s, just to kind of give you guys some perspective. And I was in her root chakra. I was drawn to her root chakra to pull out some old codes, some old programmings, right? That wasn't serving her soul's journey anymore. And what I saw, it was so insane. What I saw was these old codes, it's like this, how can I put this into words? It was like matrix low vibrational programming that was embedded in her root chakra, which was causing her to perpetuate a certain reality for her soul to experience, right? And after her soul was done experiencing that reality, the soul was ready to move on and experience something different, right? So it's like, I feel like we can get so caught up in our heads about this irrational fear, because it really is irrational, because we're putting our energy into other people, which is like something we shouldn't be doing. It's like we're giving our power away. We're literally causing like this disorientation energy within ourselves, like by imbalancing our solar plexus chakra, by not standing authentically in our own power. And, I was really contemplating about what I was going to talk about today on my podcast. And I feel like this conversation really serves the entire collective, like right now in this moment. And so anyway, yeah, I was channeling this morning, and I was like, what do I need to talk about? What serves? Like, what is going to make the biggest impact for everybody on an individual and a collective level? And this was what came through. So yeah, it's like this battle with our egoical selves. And so anyway, just to give you kind of like a tangible example of what an egoical self can look like that isn't like soul aligned. So for example, I grew up in a very small town in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was very hood. It was very, some of you would say ghetto. It was very low vibrational. It was very just trashy, very aggressive, right? Like just super, super low vibrational. So anyway, and as I was growing up, like as a young adult, as a teenager, I was literally like, I was crazy. I was a reckless teenager. I was doing all these things I shouldn't have been doing, right? Like, if somebody were to cut me off on the road, I was like super aggressive, like super crazy. I was like, rolling down my window, like, F you, like going nuts, right? Like, anyways. So yeah, it's just really funny to like look back and reflect on myself and be like, oh my gosh, you poor, poor little girl. But anyways, the first time I went through an ego death, oh my gosh, it was actually the experience that started my awakening, which was leaving my physical body back in 2020. If you guys don't know about that experience, go back and re-listen to my first podcast episode that I released. I literally just tell you in a short amount of time what happened to me in the middle of the night. So anyways, so yeah, I would say that was my first ego death. And then the next massive ego death I had that I can like put my finger on, I was doing this inner work with Kali Ma. Y'all, it was so intense. If you guys are looking to do like an intense, deep spiritual purification, definitely work with Kali Ma and definitely work with Archangel Metatron. Those two for sure have played a huge role in my deep spiritual purification. Anyway, so I was meditating with Kali Ma, and I looked at her through my third eye because she was sitting, like she was literally like floating in front of my heart chakra, like just staring at me because I called her in, right? And so anyways, I looked at her through my third eye and I said, okay, show me my bullshit. Show me my bullshit. What do I need to heal and release right now? Just show me my bullshit. What am I refusing to look at, right? Like I'm being stubborn. What am I refusing? I'm not listening to something. What am I not listening to? And I asked her to blow grace into my heart because, right, like I really like a grace and ease process. Like I really don't like super intense experiences because I'm very sensitive to energy. So sometimes like if I don't say with grace and ease, like it really like the energy will push me down. Like it's that intense. So anyway, so she literally blows into my heart chakra. She's like, and then she like picks up my head, like this egoical head I had, like this spiritual ego. I think I had two. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had two, but I only saw one like visually. And so she showed me this mask that I was wearing. I was literally masking myself to protect myself. It was a protective mechanism, right? Because as a starseed soul who has gone through many lifetimes of persecution and instantaneous death, right? Like, we do certain things in this lifetime to keep us safe. Like, it's like our ego is like, hey, we're going to do this to keep you safe so that you literally don't die, right? Like, so you don't get killed, so you don't get, slaughtered, so you don't get hung, you don't get guillotined or whatever, right? So anyway, sorry, Winter is meowing in the background. Anyways, so yeah, she like shows me this mask that I was wearing, and I was like, oh my God. And she was like, it's time to let this go. No, this isn't serving you anymore, right? Like, she's very blunt, like straight to the point. And so then I was like, okay, like, rip my head off. I told her, I was like, rip my head off. And she literally did. Like, she ripped that shit off so fast and so quick. And it was intense. And so then I was like, whoa. And it totally, like, my voice, like, almost, like, deepened a little bit, because it was like I sunk more into my heart space, and I wasn't so, like, in my head or in my mind. Anyway, so then I felt called to work with her on a more intimate level, right? Like, so I started working with her on a deeper level, and I was introduced to an aspect of herself named Chamunda, and I work with Chamunda in my energy healing sessions to remove spirit attachments, like dark entities, especially like reptilian attachments. And every time I literally work with Chamunda to remove them, I hear them scream like so intensely. And if you ever call in Chamunda into your meditations, like, it's very cleansing to your psyche. Like, seeing that aspect of Kali Ma will cleanse your psyche, and it can be very intense, just so that you guys are aware how she shows up for you through your own third eye. Like, be aware, because the first time I connected with her, it was very intense. Like, I was like, whoa, like, I had to like stop for a second because it was really intense. So anyway, and so yeah, where was I going with this? Yeah, so it was like, after I had my like mask ripped off that I was wearing, right? Like, I used to mask like my personality. Like, I didn't want people to see me for who I was, because I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of being killed, like, on a deep, deep level, right? And so it's just really important that we really like just honor that time for what like for the period of what it was and when it was, and that, hey, like, this served us. And it's okay to let this go. It's okay. Like, we don't need this anymore. Like, we're safe. Like, reassure yourself, update yourself to the present moment. Like, I'm fine. I'm safe where I am. I'm not going to get killed. I'm not going to get murdered. Like, I don't have to worry about, like, medieval ages and shit. Like, I'm fine. I don't have to worry about, like, World War II. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm here in 2023. You know what I mean? Like, really just talking to yourself. It really helps. And so, yeah, I feel like the best thing that we can do is really just discern if something that we're doing is related to our ego, like our egoical selves, or is it soul aligned? And I know I've used this example many times. Like, let me see if I can figure out a different one. Okay, yeah. So here's another example. When I was a kid, especially like 8 years old, I remember sitting in my granddad's law firm, and it was like me and my twin sister, but I just remember, I think I was like sitting by myself. I was sitting by myself in one of his like meeting rooms at this huge long table. And I went to the library with my grandmother, and I rented like a French DVD. Like, I was like trying to teach myself French, because my grandparents were pushing onto me that it was important that I learned multiple languages. And they were Jewish, so my grandfather, he could speak, he knew a little bit of Russian, but he wasn't fluent in Russian. But he was fluent in Hebrew, he was fluent in English, he was definitely fluent in Spanish. Like, he knew a lot of languages. So anyway, I channeled recently, I was reflecting back on my life, and I was like, okay, like, I really loved French. Like, it was such a beautiful language. It still is. Like, I love the culture. But I was asking my higher self, and I said, is this part of my egoical self that I'm like getting ready to release? Like, is it important for my soul? Like, is it important for my highest contracts to become fluent in multiple languages? And she said no. She was like, this is not necessary. Like, you can if you so choose, right? Like, but it's not necessary. Like, it doesn't, you didn't contract to go through that experience, right? And so I was like, okay. And so, yeah, that's an example of something egoical versus soul aligned, right? Like my family projected onto me that it was important that I had to become fluent, like I had to become like multilingual in order to be like, I guess like a successful person in society, right? Like because he had achieved success from his own soul journey of learning multiple languages and becoming a medical malpractice attorney, right? Like that served him. However, my soul journey, just like all of our soul journeys, are different and unique from each other's. And so it's very important that you really go within and ask yourself, okay, like I know there was a time and a season that this served me, that this particular thing served me. Now, is this soul aligned, or, is it time to let it go? And so really that is the biggest question we need to be asking ourselves right now. Right? Like we literally are in fall season. We are getting ready to release. Like Gaia is releasing right now. She's letting go of old leaves, right? Like trees are starting to shrivel up, right? They look like the dead trees, in the wintertime. Like, some people's grasses are starting to die because it's getting colder outside, right? Like we're about to enter into this external season of release, of releasing and cocooning. So where can you apply that into your spiritual journey right now? Like your own particular journey, right? Not somebody else's, but you. What aspect in your life right now can you start focusing on to release and cocoon and nurture and then eventually harvest, right? So yeah, like for example, for me, like I feel like I really need to release like a lot of like, it's like a big identity thing right now. Like I feel like it's very like root chakra centered. For sure. Like for me, it's root chakra centered. And that might not be the case for you, which is okay. Because what's accurate for you is what's accurate for you right now in this moment. And it doesn't have to match mine. It doesn't have to match anybody else's. Right? And so, yeah, I feel like mine is very identity based. So I really have to start like analyzing my life in an objective manner and going, okay, like, was this projected onto me by society, by my family, by my education, or is this soul aligned? Can this go with me, right? If this can't go with me, then I'm ready to release it now, right? Because the biggest thing is, gosh, what was that phrase? Anything that isn't aligned to your highest vibrational timeline is going to naturally break away, right? And so if you are not conscious about it, like if you're not doing the work and you're choosing to be stubborn, you're choosing to ignore it, guess what? You're in for a rude awakening and shit's going to start getting chaotic for you. It's going to start getting intense. And that's what happens. Like the universe is like, okay, Gracen, since you're not going to pay attention, let me just make things get crazy and chaotic just so you can start like bringing awareness to the now moment, right? Because you're dwelling somewhere else and you're not paying attention to what needs attention, So yeah, that's another thing. You can get the rug just ripped out right like underneath you. So yeah, anyways, I think I'm going to cut it here because there's a lot that I could say about this and I don't want to, go into an hour because I really feel like you guys can get a lot out of just a quick 20-minute episode. So anyway, yeah, I'm trying to feel if there's anything else I want to add here. No, I think I hit the nail on the head. So anyways, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your Sunday and a great rest of your week. We're about to enter into October. Super exciting. Intuitively, I'm feeling like there's really good energy, like reprieving energy coming in October. Like September has just been a shit show. And yeah, I feel like a lot of us on an individual and a collective level have been getting the rug ripped out from underneath us. It's like we're all like not paying attention to something. We're all like not, it's like we're missing something. We're not seeing something. And the universe just went, hey, guess what? Boom. And so, yeah, I feel like October is going to be a very like reprieving month. It's going to be a nice, chill, relaxing month. I feel like there's going to be some things that still come up, but just not, it's not going to be this roller coaster of energy that September was. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to my episode today. I will see you guys next Sunday at 5 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And yeah, have an amazing rest of your week, guys. I love you guys so, so much.